listening to the Grand Army of the Republic broadcast, the voice of the Outer Rim.
I was rewatching Star Trek Deep Space Nine after watching Lower Decks, and I find it strange that I'm attracted to TV shows that were made before I was even born. People can't even argue that I am blinded by nostalgia, because my first Star Trek was Star Trek Voyager and Star Trek 2009. Growing up, I realized with Voyager there was a lot of problems, and I never even cared about 2009. As a teenager, I started to watch Deep Space Nine on Netflix, and I fell in love with the show. The writing, the characters, they're all amazing, and it's honestly some of the best Star Trek I have ever watched. This all becomes so depressing that we'll never get a show like Deep Space Nine again. The Orville is really good, but it's more along the lines of TNG, and it doesn't have the same levels of grit and depth that Deep Space Nine really has. When Deep Space Nine does darkness, it's more used as a tool to add depth and allow exploration of the characters and the world. Not holding anything back like this really makes the world feel alive, and it also has the same message of optimism and the hopeful future that Star Trek has, that we all know and love from the original series and TNG. Deep Space Nine is really respectful and loving of what Star Trek is. Even when Star Trek Deep Space Nine was at its darkest, it still had the heart and soul of Star Trek. Compare this to Star Trek Discovery and Picard, which are full-blown nihilistic shows. It doesn't have any depth at all. It is just dark and edgy for the sake of being dark and edgy. It has been 11 years now since Star Trek has started to go downhill with Star Trek 2009, and I know there were bad Star Trek films before 2009. Even Star Trek Voyager had some really fucking fantastic episodes. Episodes like Year of Hell are really fucking good. But even when Voyager wasn't as well written, they still had the heart and soul of Star Trek, showing the optimistic future of the world.
I think the reason that the franchise has been so successful for 30-something years, well, the thing that makes it so unique as well, is because it's an optimistic view of the future. Everything else that we see is so pessimistic and so dark and so nihilistic. And this shows a positive portrayal of what could be in the future. And I think people need that and want that to grasp onto.
Picard still thinks there's a place in the galaxy for mercy. I didn't want to disillusion him.
Discovery and Picard sometimes make me feel so horrible and sick at times. Just this gruesome nihilism is not what belongs in a Star Trek franchise. Not even Deep Space Nine went to these levels. Not only are these episodes poorly written, they don't even have the benefit of Star Trek being the optimistic future it's supposed to be. So you can't turn your brain off as you watch people streaming alive as they're burnt by acid before exploding. It shows such a huge lack of understanding of the franchise. No one even cared about each other in Voyager, but holy hell was him being cut open and ripped apart, and 7 of 9 having to mercy kill him fucking awful. It made me feel sick. No wonder the original actor didn't return just to be killed off. It is so infuriating at this point to point out all the writing flaws in this show, just to be dismissed as someone who doesn't like new things. I really thought I would have been used to this as a Star Wars fan, as I became very numb to a lot of the things that are happening to Star Wars today. But with Star Trek, it feels so fresh, because while I was so focused on what was happening with Star Wars, I didn't come to the realization that this was actually happening with Star Trek. It didn't feel real. I've already had people in my comments telling me I don't like Lower Decks because the lead is a black woman. When I point out I like Captain Sisko, I'm told that that's just because he's a man. Then I point out I like Janeway. I'm told that's because she's white. So there is no winning with these people. No matter what you do or what you say, they will find a way to just label and dismiss you. It just shuts down any kind of conversation you can possibly have within the fandom in terms of the show's writing quality. In the review that this comment was posted on, I never said a damn thing about race or even gender. I was purely talking about the horrible writing in the fucking show. I think the signs are written all over the wall that Star Trek is failing. Netflix bought the international rights to Discovery with a lot of money. Then when they didn't make that money back, they turned down Picard. Amazon bought Picard at a much lower price, And they were so unhappy with that they didn't want Trek shorts and they didn't fucking want Lower Decks. Which is the reason why Lower Decks doesn't even have an international distributor. No matter how many shows CBS announces and desperately tries to hype up, despite the fact that aren't even scripts made yet, no one is supporting these shows. I would also like to point out that Section 31 show that they were trying to push fell apart before the coronavirus even hit. This is failing. Viewers are dropping like crazy, and one way or another, New Star Trek will end. The announcement of Strange New Worlds shows that they are listening and desperate at this point, but I don't think Strange New Worlds will be the show any of us are looking for. But anyway, thank you for listening to my rant. Make sure to subscribe to see more content like this, please share my video to show your support, and if you really like my content, please check out my Patreon. I've got some pretty good perks over there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.